Well, that's tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the stratosphere today to start off with. There's a bit of a stratospheric warming taking place. It's fairly significant, but I'm not sure it's going to be quite the game changer that some people are assuming it could be. I've been getting quite a few messages on social media and seeing it about the forums as well, that this could be a real game changer for our winter fate. I'm not sure it's going to be that impactful. It's fairly significant, but compared to, say, the huge sudden stratospheric warming that occurred at the start of January 2013, and I'll show you what that sort of stratospheric warming looked like with these charts from meteoseal.fr as well. Compared to that, it's not that big, but it is a fairly significant warming, so it could produce a little bit of blocking. And the other aspect about this that's very uncertain is whether that blocking is in such a position that it's going to deliver us cold weather. So even if you get a sudden stratospheric warming such as we had at the start of January 2013, even that doesn't guarantee that we get cold from this, because whenever you have a blocking feature in the pole, of course one place will be cold on the cold side of the block, but somewhere else is going to be on the warm side of the block. As I always say, that the weather, the atmosphere, nature is constantly looking for a balance, it's constantly looking for an equilibrium. So if you get one part of the blocking on the cold side of the block, you're going to get another part that's on the warm side of the block. So even then, if you get a sudden stratospheric warming and you get blocking, it still doesn't guarantee that we get cold from it. We got very lucky in January 2013 in that we was virtually constantly on the cold side of the blocking, culminated of course in that extraordinarily cold March of 2013, but it doesn't always work out like that, so that is always the caveat with these stratospheric warmings. Anyway, I'll have a look at it in a moment. Just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles on most pages at gavswebinars.com. You have a browse through the widgets. You can be able to see whether there's any articles that you're interested in, and if there is, just click through those articles and you'll be able to support gavswebinars.com. Thanks so much for doing that. There's also yellow weather related ads on those pages, so anything there you're interested in, click through and just generally have a look at the ads, see what they're about, and if there's anything that you're interested in, do please click through them. And when you do that, you help to pay for me to sit here and talk to you via the website. Thanks so much for getting involved and doing that. So let's start off with the stratospheric forecast charts from meteoseal.fr. Just quick to say that the stratosphere is one of the top layers of the atmosphere, and when you get warming in the stratosphere, it's like pumping up a balloon, and you start to infiltrate warmer air down into the troposphere. When it goes down into the troposphere, that eventually starts to push out cold air. It forms a block really in the troposphere where weather is taking place. And when you get these blocking features over the pole, it starts to push that cold air that is, of course, over the North Pole, being winter, starts to push it out into the mid-latitudes. So stratospheric warming is one of the things that can precede cold spells. So let's see how the current warming is forecast to develop. This is the chart for right now, and you see we've got a pretty cold stratosphere still really over the pole, particularly towards the Canadian and Greenland side. It is warmer over towards the Siberian side, and these yellow colours are indicating that warming. Now let's run through the charts and see how this develops. And you can see that very, very gradually these blue colours are being sort of pulled apart a little bit by this warming that's occurring, both from the south of Greenland in the Atlantic quadrant of the Earth, or the Northern Hemisphere, and also over towards the Siberian side. So we've got two warmings really taking place there that are sort of pushing into that cold stratosphere over the top of the pole, and very gradually the cold is being pulled apart somewhat by those warmer temperatures. As we run on, we see that we do in fact get a bit of a split occurring by the time we get through towards the 7th of January. We have got a little bit of a split there in the polar vortex, so definitely signs that the PV is being put under masses of strain and stress there by this warm air that's occurring over the stratosphere. It's not quite killed off, and as we go through beyond that, that's up to the 7th of January, as we go beyond that, actually we see that the warming sort of fades away a little bit. There we go, going up to the 10th, the warmth sort of fades away, moves back in towards the mid-latitudes, and the PV, the cold temperatures slowly start to try and reorganise themselves over the top of the pole. Nowhere near the extent that we've got at the moment, but nevertheless the cold sort of comes back. It isn't killed off. It's not a killing blow really from this warming in terms of those cold temperatures over the stratosphere. So it's a fairly significant warming that's occurring, but it doesn't really kill off those cold temperatures fundamentally. Now this is from the start of 2013. Notice these red colours here across Siberia, so already the warmth was starting off at a higher temperature really at the start of January 2013. Now let's run through this. This is a proper southern stratospheric warming. Look at those red colours appearing, very intense warming taking place, deep reds, very warm temperatures in the stratosphere, and you're going to see in a moment that this polar vortex, that the blue curves, are basically just destroyed by all of this warming pushing in to the North Pole. So we've gone up to the 7th of January, and there comes the warming. And as we run through, well, there we go, the blue curves are being destroyed. We've got yellows then. By the time you get through toward the middle of January, yellows have appeared really across the whole of the North Pole. The blue colours are completely gone, totally destroyed, and that was a very significant southern stratospheric warming, and it did produce a much colder pattern as we went through January, February into March. It just got colder and colder after this very extreme southern stratospheric warming. So compared to that, the warming that we've got coming up over the next few days isn't as significant. Nevertheless, it's a fairly significant warming. So it could produce some blocking. I think it probably will produce some blocking somewhere. It's where that blocking sits. It probably won't be as extensive as we had at the start of 2013, or as we had through winter 2013, but it should produce some blocking. It should be enough to do that, but there's no guarantee we will be on the warm side of that blocking. And of course it takes, we'll be on the cold side I should say, of that blocking, and of course it takes 2 or 3 weeks for this to filter down, so don't necessarily be expecting an immediate change in the pattern. That warming that occurred at the start of January 2013 did produce an immediate change in the pattern, or appeared to. Within a week we've gone from very mild conditions of the new year of 2013 to a much colder pattern, so that was very sudden change, but generally they take 2 or 3 weeks, these warmings, to really start appearing in the model output. We'll keep an eye on it anyway and see how things develop. Now, just have a look at the generic charts. I said yesterday that the westerlies are returning for the new year. Indeed, it looks like that's still on course as we go through into start of next week, Monday, the 5th of January. We've got low pressure here around Iceland. High pressure is collapsing in towards the south. Going to get a little bit of a transient ridge over the weekend, cooling things down very briefly. But really, the Atlantic's pushing through next week. And as we run on, we're going to find the Atlantic steamrollers through into Tuesday the 6th, so it's going to be turning increasingly wet and windy, I think, through the course of next week. That's a particularly deep area of low pressure there to the south of Greenland. When the purple colours start appearing in the North Atlantic, it normally means we're in for a stormy spell, so you can get pieces of energy breaking off from these purple colours, from these deep areas of low pressure. Pieces of energy break off and produce those little very tight windstorms that the newspapers certainly have started turning weather bombs. I'm not saying we will get a weather bomb, but when you get these purple colours turning up around Iceland and Greenland, it's usually a sign of trouble. So as we move through in towards the 9th of January, where we're bringing a little feature through there that doesn't look all that stormy, but of course that could intensify by the time we get through to day 10. That could be quite a significant storm that's broken off from the main piece of low pressure that's up over the Greenland and Iceland part of the North Atlantic. And there's more areas of low pressure waiting in the wings in the Atlantic. Just giving you the idea, it's going to be a very unsettled and unstable start to 2015. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're not looking at the deluge that we had last January. I don't think we will be. I think the Azores High will at the very least keep us protected from some of the rain, particularly down in the south and the southeast. As we go through to the east MWF at the start of next week again, the low pressure is coming in under a little bit of a transient ridge there to start off Monday the 5th, but low pressure is really coming in off the Atlantic, so we go through into Tuesday the 6th. and we're firmly into a westerly flow there. Again, a little bit of a transient ridge there may push through the course of the day on Tuesday the 6th, but that next area of low pressure to the south of Greenland has our name on it. And as we go through into Wednesday the 7th, well, it's wet and windy really. It's fairly mild. The winds, the ice bars are backing into the Azores, but generally it's a mild picture with wet and windy conditions coming through. Going through to day 10, Friday the 9th of January, we remain generally quite mild and unsettled. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, bringing those westerlies through across the country. Now that could be hinting at, if you went on 24 hours beyond that, you may start going towards a cooler pattern. There's a little bit of a ridge occurring in the central part of the Atlantic that could start to push your winds round into the north and the northwest. But overall, I'm not seeing any signs of anything particularly cold, certainly for the first 10 days, probably even the first half of January. I'll perhaps go that far and say up to the first half of January there's no sign of anything particularly cold coming through. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with this stratospheric warming. It could produce enough of a change, certainly temporarily, to give us some blocking and some colder conditions. I would perhaps look at the second half of January more for that, but I don't think it's going to be a killing blow such as we had at the start of 2013, so I don't think we're looking at a dramatic switch into a very cold pattern, but maybe second half of January something a bit colder coming through. We'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Come back tomorrow. 5-day forecast for New Year's Eve, last video of the year, so come back for that. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.